Hi everyone, this is Devleena welcoming you all to another iconic episode of Icons Behind Brands. And today I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Nathan SV, who is a partner and Chief Talent Officer at Deloitte India. Mr. Nathan has over 35 years of experience in HR management across diverse industries and has vast experience in building high performing team. Also, he has been acknowledged as the top voices of LinkedIn in 2020. So I'm very excited to have you here, Mr. Nathan. A warm welcome to you on Icons Behind Brands.
Thank you, Devleena. It's a pleasure to be with all of you here this morning. I truly appreciate the time that you've taken out to have this interview with me. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here, Mr. Nathan, and I'm sure we have a lot to talk, and there is so much for our viewers to have from this particular conversation. This is going to be a little different from our usual conversation. So, we are going to talk about you, your background, your leadership styles, and so on and so forth. So, before we get into the actual conversation, I'm curious to know about your journey and your background so far, Mr. Nathan, if you just take us through that.
My journey is a long one, but I want to start by saying that I'm extremely grateful. I'm very grateful because I know where I started and I know where I am today. So if I look at the entire background, I'm absolutely in amazement of how life's journey can take you along. Well, I'll share a little bit more. So we moved to Calcutta. So I did my primary education in Calcutta,
Okay.
middle from Madras, now called Chennai. High school intermediate was Nagpur. Then I wanted to do my engineering or medicine. I got both, but dad said, "Well, I don't think I can afford you staying away from home, so you come back." By which time, when I came to Madras, all colleges were shut except for one, which said you could do your mathematics.
Okay.
And I said, "Look, I don't like maths. I don't know whether you like that, Devleena."
No, for me, I like it, but it doesn't mean I have not got very great marks in my education. But I like it. Number.
You like? Okay. I didn't like mathematics, but I took up mathematics because I said I don't have a choice. So if you don't get what you like what you get.
Wow.
I did well in maths. I then went on to be the best outgoing student of Vivekananda College. I participated in sports, this, that, all kinds of things, and then went to XLRI Jamshedpur.
Okay.
And I did this thing again. I did well. I was a topper in my batch academically. I think
Wow.
it was that slice of that grandmother's, is at a subliminal level. There was an interjection that you got to study very hard, work very hard.
So, Mr. Nathan, I'm just curious to know a little bit more about the business side. We spoke about attitude, we spoke about, right people in the organization. There is a huge importance of that. So, I want to understand from your perspective that what is the role of talent in driving business success? So, let's get into that. What is your thoughts into this?
So, Devleena, one is it is very important to bring in the right kind of people into organizations.
Right.
If you bring in the right team, you're able to build the right culture, and you would really be able to see all of what. There are only two things that happen in any organization. One, the marketplace, and one, the people side of things.
Right.
So if you really look at it, so if you take care of the people side of things, then the market side of things can be taken care of. It's one of the first principles I learned years ago. So to take care of the people side, you need to get the right people, give them all the support that they can, and at which point in time, trust them and they will deliver the results. Support people, make sure that you encourage them and play to people's strengths. Then I think you have a full house.
So let's talk about how, what is the biggest challenge which a employer face in terms of talent acquisition retention and managing the talent over there, and also like what is the biggest pain point which needs to change here, which we need to focus here, if we just.
So that's a lot of questions under one umbrella.
Yeah.
So the if I understand this right, you're looking at the whole range of the people challenges when it or business challenges comes to hiring people and
Mm-hmm.
retaining people. Recruiting. I'll tell you the challenges for recruiting fall under three broad buckets.
Mm-hmm.
One is identifying the talent pool, getting people from that talent pool. That's the first thing. This is second one is there are too many players chasing the same talent pool.
Right.
So I think one of the challenges is can we expand our mind?
Mm-hmm.
Can we start to think that there are talent pools beyond just the chosen?
Okay.
And the good news is the COVID has helped us open our eyes. There are
Mm-hmm.
still a lot of universities and colleges where you can get people,
Mm-hmm.
but they belong to the tier three places that we have not accessed. But that's an opportunity for us as much as it's an issue for us.
That's right.
The third one is I think this is more our problem, people who are recruiters. We look for people who are perfect fits.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing called a perfect fit, Devleena.
Mm-hmm.
There are only people who are near fits.
Okay.
Why then, if you take 100 people, best of universities, after a year, you will find that only some of them do well, some of them do exceedingly well, some of them don't do well at all.
Yeah.
I know all of this you would say fits into a bell curve of performance. But
Mm-hmm.
why should this happen? Everything should be flat.
Right.
All of them should win at the peak performance. Doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't look in the right corners for the right people. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the issue. I mean, we have an opportunity there that's got to be addressed. The last one is this whole thing is if you can't really get the perfect fits, can you build people? The building of people is something that we have not spent a lot of time. Organizations today, if they are growing rapidly and they don't have time,
Mm-hmm.
then instead of build, you buy.
And I remember one of your office truths. I mean, we will come to that also. Very recently, you have shared one of your office truth, which says there is a gift called, attention, and that thing which is a gift, and that hits me, and I just took it with me that this is the gift you should provide it to your peers. So I think the same happens with organization and people. The gift of attention and care has to be passed on this. So I think, yeah, that is where the context is building.
Today we live in a world which has got a attention span of
Mm-hmm.
less than 3 minutes. Let me send you a WhatsApp message for 5 minutes, Devleena. You will not see it.
That
You
happens.
will skim it in the first 3 minutes. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Otherwise, thank you very much.
And we forget
You
to
do
reply as
spend,
well. I mean,
yeah,
I will admit that I do it many times, and after 2 3 days, I remember, oh, somebody has messaged me 2 days back. I need to reply. It's off.
so we live in a world which has got very low attention span. So therefore, in organizations, if we hire right, give
Mm-hmm.
people all that it takes, we need to support people.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that they feel welcome, they feel respected.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Respect comes in many, many ways. I may disagree with you, Devleena, but if I respect your view, say, hey, Devleena,
Mm.
I think you have a point of view. I may have a differing point of view, but as long as I don't get into a slanging match over it, I'm fine.
Now, Mr. Nathan, let's switch the gears into, I'm so fascinated about the hashtag office truths.
That's
are- you are pretty active in your social media as well, and LinkedIn is something which I follow. The hashtag which comes from your side, which is office truth. So I'm just curious to know about why this particular hashtag office truth has been taken. Because people talk about office, they don't talk about the office truths, what is happening. So if we talk a little bit about that, would be great.
sure. So many, many years ago, I I started something called Life Truths, hashtag Life Truths.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that, so how do I write my office truths or life truths? Every day in the evening, after a day's done, I'll think about all the significant activities during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Look at things that went one way, didn't go one way. There's always an insight. So I used to write it down. And that happened to gather currency in my own head, and I started to put down words to it. And I found that since my living day of almost 11 hours is all about work, most of the thoughts were around office. So I called it office. There's another one called life truths. That
Mm-hmm.
comes in. For example, today I posted something very different, but that was more around life. So that's one. Office truths started because it started to get a lot. I mean, there are people who really relate to a few things that are being said.
Right.
And
Even.
they're unable to express themselves even with their bosses. Sometimes the boss and the team member could be on that same LinkedIn. So, in some way, a comment, a like, something that happens, they are able to commiserate with what is being said. Many of them actively use that platform to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a benign platform. For me, I think it's important to stay within the boundaries of what I call as positivity and
Mm-hmm.
optimism,
Mm-hmm.
and keep away from the negative vibes that
Mm-hmm.
people give to this is what is happening in the organization. Because
Very important.
organization is a living being.
Right.
It's a living being. You have to infuse life into it. I cannot inject toxins. And that's why I call it office truths.
Our major audience is from the branding and marketing perspective. If we talk about a little bit about the personal branding on social media, that would add a lot of value here as well.
I'll tell you a few things about the social media that I've learned. I'm no expert, you guys are all the experts. But I'll tell you
Yeah.
practically, if you want to build a brand about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot do this without social media,
Right.
which is to do the outside work.
Mm-hmm.
In your own organization, your work will speak for itself. But in the world outside, if you have to talk about the kind of work that you do, the way that you express yourself, there is a body of work that you're slowly releasing out that others are reading. You have written a fantastic article, Devleena. You want Mr. So and so or Miss So and so to read that. They don't have time to read all your. But when you write in the social media, and if it is not more than 300 words, every chance that somebody will read it.
That's right.
And if you build a certain consistency, there is a constancy and a commitment that you will engage. You will do well in building a brand. Building a brand also is a function of engagement. It's not something that you throw out and then forget all about it. You have to engage with it.
Very true. Very important.
Engaging also mean there are people who will have a different point of view. There are people who have a concurring point of view. People who differ are important. Respect them. They may have a point of view completely different, but it is okay. Respect them. And you say, thank you for your perspective.
Uh,
Thank you.
I have a lot of questions, but I'll just, come into a leadership point as well. You have spent almost like 3 decades in the professional journey in the industry. So, what is your say in the change of leadership in India? India is changing, and next 20 years, I'm sure India is going to change rapidly because it's a young generation and there are a lot of different things happening. So where do you see the kind of leadership which is going in India in next 20 years? If you just talk a bit about the change of leadership and the mindset.
I've not seen 20 years into the future, but I can see a few things which are emerging, Devlina. First of all, I'm extremely optimistic about the future. I'm optimistic about today, optimistic about tomorrow. Why? Because I think the world belongs to the young, and I see that as a big, massive change. I see very young people coming in into leadership. It's also important to give that position to people early in their careers rather than later. And I see that as a big change. So, what are the other implications of change at these levels? One, I see that the young people are far more responsible, not just for making profits for their organization. They're looking at the society at large. They're looking at the world and they are looking at what they are doing to the environment. They're
Right.
looking at sustainability in ways that we had never even imagined. So they are looking at planet first. They are looking at, I think the world will be in the hands of people who will make sure that this place is a livable place for several of their generations. And that's a good thing. Second is the ability to take risks, which was in the past a huge mountain to climb.
Mm-hmm.
People are able to see that in this time. There is far more faith and confidence in people's abilities, which is the reason why we have so many unicorns in India.
Yes.
And agreed, 5, 7, 10% of all these startups
Mm-hmm.
will win. But I'll tell you the nice thing, the 90% or the 85%, not that they lose, they learn.
Yes.
And when they learn, they become better leaders.
So, with this, now we will move to a very interesting section, which is a rapid fire round. You might have seen in Coffee with Karan. So, it will help our viewers to know you a little bit more. Okay, so you need to answer in one word or as minimum as possible. So, very short questions. Okay. So, what has been your favorite age so far?
45.
Wow. Later, I'll ask why. What is your favorite work memory?
Promotion.
Very true. What has changed the most since you have started working here?
The mind.
True. What advice would you give an employee on their first day?
Be courageous.
Yes. If you could not work in this industry, then what profession would you pursue?
Teach.
And that you are actually doing right now. When are you most productive?
Mornings.
What would you change about yourself if given a chance?
My doggedness.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Let go.
So, with this, we are out of the rapid fire zone. Before we wind up the conversation, one last question to you, Mr. Nathan. What would be your advice or message to the startups to build a high performance team?
My message to startup is you may not know everything yourself. You have to rely on somebody who knows a little bit more than you. So, my message is identify what you're good at and what you're not good at. If you know the difference, then you would do an outstanding job. And if you will permit me, Devleena, I will share a story.
Please, please.
So, in the Mahabharata, it so happened that Lord Krishna, 19th day, 20th day, he was lying down and there was somebody who was pressing his legs. Krishna asked him, do you need any gift? That my gift is already with me because I have the privilege of being with you, Lord Krishna.
Wow.
He said, ask me a question. He said, why did this war happen? And Krishna said, because of only one reason. There was a guy called Duryodhana. Duryodhana did not know to roll the dice.
Okay.
He did not know how to gamble. But he knew that he did not know to gamble.
Okay.
And so he asked his uncle Shakuni to come and play on his behalf, who was clever. On the other hand, Yudhishthir did not know that he did not know to play the dice. He did not know how to gamble. He did not know this. He did not know that he was not good at it. So the whole thing happened. If Duryodhana knew that he did not know to gamble and he put somebody, he's a smarter guy.
Yes.
Yudhishthir did not know that he had no clue about this. Many times we move into spaces where we think we know, but we really don't know. So to all startups, I say, let us find what we know about what we are good at and what we do not know. Leave it in the hands of people who know best. Because you don't really have to have a Mahabharata on your hand, a battle on your hand. The battle is always of egos, Devleena.
Right.
And that really brings down organizations. So if I know that somebody is good with something, let me shake hands with that person.
Wow. I think that's
and they can likewise come back to me.
superb. That's an amazing story to remember, Jonathan. I mean, the startup owners, being a startup person, being a business owner, I think, I mean, this is going to be there with me forever. That, know what you are good at and also know what you are not.
Not good at.
Yeah, not good at. And it's extremely important, as you said, either hire people who are good at what you are not good at, or maybe or collaborate with the right company or organization or people. So I think that's a great takeaway to take it forward, and a great closure from your side as well, to wind up the conversation with the story. And I have enjoyed a line of the whole conversation shared by you, Mr. Nathan. It is, each and everything, whatever you have shared is by experience, and it is like a heart to heart conversation for me. And thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting this, of being here in Icons Behind Brand. So I'm very happy to have you here. And
Devleena, thank you so much. You are a great conversationalist. We had budgeted a certain time. We went
yes,
slightly
yes,
over.
yes.
And that's all because of the power of a conversation. So you do it so well. Thank you so much.